Welcome to the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1992 comedy classic, Wayne's World, starring Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, Rob Lowe, Tia Carrere, Alice Cooper. It's an all-star cast. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club, we discuss certain guilty pleasures, forgotten classics. Go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club, and give us the big thumbs up. You can also go to our page on YouTube, KD9575, that's me. And also my birthday. Mark that on your calendar. You can go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. Get all the latest updates whenever a new movie I'm discussing comes out. I'll let you know. And any other kind of wacky movie-related information I find, I just pass it right along, okay? Don't forget to spread the word to all your friends, neighbors, strangers, enemies, anybody you meet on the street. The more the merrier. Wayne's World. In this movie, Wayne Campbell has his own public access show out of his basement in Aurora, Illinois. For those of you guys who don't know, public access is something they had 100 years ago before YouTube. Certain channels would literally allow people to come in and put on their own crazy shows. This is an example of that, okay? Before, you could just go onto YouTube and do the B Movie Club. You had to actually have like a basement and a channel on TV, so that's what they did. Wayne and his buddy Garth go ahead and they're big heavy metal fans. There's a lot of heavy metal influences, a lot of long hair band kind of things going on there. They also just have guests where they talk about just wacky stuff. They find it hilarious. They're kind of local celebrities because all the kids in their neighborhood kind of enjoy watching their show. But then something happens, okay? Rob Lowe is kind of this entrepreneur, deal maker type. His plan is to basically buy the rights to Wayne's World, the show, and then basically take a local arcade company and have them pay to advertise on Wayne's World. So Wayne's World would cease being Wayne's World and start becoming Noah's Arcade presents Wayne's World. See, it's a subtle distinction, okay? Wayne is only into certain things. He's into music, he's into playing his guitar, hanging out with his friends, going to clubs, but he's not into selling out, is what we learn, okay? So when the deal is made, Rob Lowe shows up and gives him $3,000 each to go off and do fun stuff. He gets to buy the guitar he's always had his mind on, but essentially he sold his soul. Okay? He sold it, okay? As the movie progresses, Wayne meets a rock star chick at the local dance club. I don't know. She is the lead singer of a group called Cruel Taunt, I guess is what it is. They hit it off. She's the lead singer and the bass player. She's very pretty and clearly out of Wayne's league, but that's okay. I don't want to spoil everything that's going on. So you've got the tug of war between Wayne and basically the new owners of his show, and kind of new relationship drama between Wayne and his new girlfriend. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of layers, okay? A lot of layers. It's like a parfait, okay? So I don't want to spoil everything. But for what some of us know, people my age, Wayne's World, the movie, came from a reoccurring sketch that was on Saturday Night Live, where Mike Myers plays Wayne Campbell and Dana Carvey plays his buddy Garth. Now, Mike Myers had been playing the Wayne Campbell role for actually years before he was on Saturday Night Live. It was kind of like one of his things. Mike Myers and Dana Carvey were both kind of guys doing sketch comedy before they got discovered on Saturday Night Live. They were discovered separately. So Mike Myers had this character, and he, turned it into a sketch on the show. And at that time, Dana Carvey was like one of the biggest stars on Saturday Night Live. So the powers that be, if you will, shoehorned Dana Carvey in it as the Buddy Garth, who, again, that was a creation for the show. And Dana Carvey based it upon his brother, which is, I guess, the mannerisms of the way he carries himself, kind of understated, if you will. But this caused some friction, because, as I said, Dana Carvey was already the shining star in the show. This was Mike Myers trying to kind of blaze his own trail, and here they are trying to shove Dana Carvey into the mix. So there was a little friction. He thought Dana Carvey might be trying to steal his thunder, if you will. I don't know. But it was very popular. There were a lot of pop cultural references, things that kind of entered into the zeitgeist, if you will, such as Schwing and Hurl and Shaw and Monkeys Might Fly on My Butt, those sorts of things. Way, those, I can go on and on with this, okay? In the early 90s, this was big. People loved it, and I don't know a lot of people that talked this way, but it was became kind of ubiquitous, where it was like you heard it and it wasn't strange, like saying it now 25 years later is a little strange, if you know what I'm saying. So it became very popular. They decided to make it into a TV show. Evidently there was more friction on the set, as Mike Myers was constantly butting heads to the director, Penelope Spheris, and when they went on to make Wayne's World 2, she said, "I'm not directing this movie because I cannot stand to be around Mike Myers any longer." So what are you going to do? It's very sad. If you watch this movie, you see Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe was obviously a big star in the 80s. He was still kind of hanging around in the early 90s before he kind of disappeared and started doing primarily television work a few years later. So he's playing that Rob Lowe kind of schmarmy, villainous kind of character before he became kind of sweet and gentle Rob Lowe of the 2000s, on Parks and Recreation, for example. Funny thing, there's a scene in here where Wayne and Garth meet one of their rock star idols. They meet Alice Cooper. They actually attend a concert, and he's singing certain songs. I know Mike Myers wanted him to sing some of his earlier hits, like School's Out for Summer and things like that. He wanted to perform Feed My Frankenstein, which is one of his newer hits, so they wound up doing that. It worked out well. Alice Cooper thought they were just going to have like some shots at the concert. He didn't know he was going to have lines, and literally he showed up on the set, and they gave him like a whole monologue to perform. So he had to memorize it and do it. And frankly, it's one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
Alice, is this cool?
Yeah, come on in.
Sorry to bother you, but we had to come and tell you how much we really enjoyed the show, didn't we, Garth?
Oh, thanks.
We're not mental or anything, so don't be afraid. My name is Wayne, and this is Garth.
Nice to meet you guys.
So, do you come to Milwaukee often?
Well, I'm a regular visitor here, but Milwaukee has certainly had its share of visitors. The French missionaries and explorers were coming here as early as the late 1600s to trade with the Native Americans.
In fact, isn't Milwaukee an Indian name?
Yes, Pete, it is. Actually, it's pronounced Miliwake, which is Algonquin for the good land.
I was not aware of that.
I think one of the most interesting aspects of Milwaukee is the fact that it's the only major American city to have ever elected 3 socialist mayors.
Does this guy know how to party or what? Huh? Huh? Oh. Okay. Well, we gotta get going.
No. Stick around. Hang out with us.
Cool. Yeah, we'll stay and hang around with us. With Alice Cooper.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Alice Cooper at his finest. One thing that's very distracting watching this movie is the horrible wigs that Mike Myers and Dana Carvey are wearing for this entire thing. Dana Carvey has got this crazy, it's kind of a blonde Tina Turner thing going on here. It's very distracting. And Wayne's is bad. He's usually wearing a baseball cap, but there are a couple scenes where he isn't wearing the baseball cap, and it just looks bizarre. It's kind of a crazy prison yard mullet. I can't even describe it. It's very strange and off-putting. But what are you gonna do, right? It's Wayne's World. This movie was full of cameos. Like I said, you've got Rob Lowe, which is more than a cameo. You've got Alice Cooper, who's in a scene. Ed O'Neill, who is fresh off Married with Children fame. Obviously, now he's on Modern Family. It's all cyclical. You know what I'm saying? These guys are big in like 20 years ago. Now they're coming back, larger than life. What can I say? So, what else can I tell you about this movie? As I said, it wasn't all fun and games around the Wayne's World set. Evidently, Dana Carvey developed like jaw issues, like severe pain in his jaw, because the way he played Garth was kind of with a underbite, like he was constantly sticking his jaw out. I don't know. It sounds weird when I do it, but he had to do this and maintain it over the course of the filming, and he actually had to wound up icing his jaw because it was like anybody noticed his jaw, but he's a method actor, I guess. I don't know. I can't explain it. Then there's the scene, the famous Bohemian Rhapsody scene, when they're in the car driving along and they're headbanging like this. This is headbanging. Usually it's done a little faster though. And they develop neck pain because over the course of filming the scene and them banging their heads, they got hurt. And at one point, Mike Myers is like, flipping out. This is enough. My neck is killing me. Blah 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 blah. What are you gonna do? It's very upsetting. And Dana Carvey didn't even know the words to Bohemian Rhapsody. So if you're watching closely, he kind of is doing this when he's supposed to be singing along. It looks funny to the character, like, oh, his character doesn't know the word. That's kind of hilarious. But Dana Carvey didn't like that. He was just like, I should have had more time to learn the lines. I don't know what his issue was. But I guess he felt like it would have been better if he would have been able to lip sync more effortlessly, if you will. I don't know. It's hard to say. Watching this movie 20 years later, I have to say it is horrendously dated in my mind. Again, everybody with their long, crazy hair. I think even in '92, that was kind of at the tail end of the hair metal kind of thing going on there. A few years later, it was like no one had crazy long hair anymore. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? The comedy, it really doesn't have a whole lot of, in my opinion, a lot of laugh out loud moments. I mean, looking back, I don't know if it ever was like, oh, this is hilarious, I'm falling out of my chair. But, it was kind of it was in the zeitgeist. It was very much like a snapshot of some of the things that were going on back then and the way people carried themselves and things like that. But yeah, I didn't laugh all that much, It kind of reminded me in kind of a crazy way. It's like watching those old Saturday Night Live episodes where they have like the cheerleaders. Remember that with Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry? I never found them funny either. There are certain scripts or certain bits where you're just wondering, it's like, when you went into the writer's room to present this thing, hey, I'll be Wayne, and I have a public access show, and we say funny things. I mean, is that the pitch? I don't know. It's hard to describe. But at the time, it was very popular, and like I said, it's on all sorts of lists for like favorite comedy line, favorite comedy scene, best comedy of the 90s, those sorts of things. But I don't know. Go and see it and let me know what you think. It's not horrible or anything. It's entertaining, but for a comedy, it doesn't have a whole lot of knee-slapping moments, in my opinion. Okay? Just my opinion. It does currently have an 85% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So there you have that. Okay? Hey, one man's opinion. It's pretty good. Not as funny as I'd like, but not anything spectacular. Like I said, it went on to form a sequel came like the following year. There's actually a Wayne's World video game. And throughout the 90s, even when, late 80s and 90s, even when those guys weren't necessarily on Saturday Night Live anymore, they'd still pop up and do little appearances on MTV and things like that. So keep your eyes open for that. Next week, I'm moving away from the comedy genre. It is October right now. I don't know when you're watching this, but it's October now. We're going to go into the horror genre. The 70s masterpiece. The remake, the 70s remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, starring Donald Sutherland, Jeff Goldblum. It's an all-star cast. It is currently streaming instantly on Netflix, so rush out and see it. Let me know what you think. Send me any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, questions, and comments. I may just talk about it on the show, and I may not. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling that day. So you have that. So, as you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. Yes, and it's the choice of a new generation. So there it is. Thank you for joining us. I hope you appreciate this new look to the show. It's basically the same old look, but what I've been trying to do is put more movie clips, some of the favorite scenes, scenes that really kind of exemplify the movie. So I hope you appreciate it. Don't forget to spread the word, tell all your friends and neighbors and homies, and next week, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Thank you for joining us, and be well.